On the program this morning, full casting, Paul Richards. We just heard him with our news brief. We'll hear from Wendell Stephen. We'll hear from Richard Raghu-Basing. We'll hear from Ruben. No, we won't. My name is Steve Khan. We'll keep you company until 9 o'clock this morning. All right, that's when the fearless one, Sir Charles, pops in. All right, but let's get straight into our WT. See what's happening weather-wise and traffic-wise. I tell you, the roads are wet. Had a little downpour this morning, or a big downpour, but we got the traffic already. Starting pretty much from Tumpuna Road, just after Tumpuna Road, as you approach Mauska, you've got some volume there. Maloney to Piaco, Trinidad City towards UE, and then from the interchange into Port of Spain, a bit of volume. All right, from Cura passing towards St. Joseph towards Mount Hope, you got some traffic there as well. Nothing yet building up in the west out of Maraval. Let's head down south, see what's happening down there, because down there plenty tempo. Let's see, nothing to tell you about in south. Let's drive up to Solo, coming up to Freeport. Oh, we got some traffic from Freeport. Why is that? Yep, there is an accident northbound on the Solomon Hochoy Highway just before you get to Sugar Guanas, pretty much opposite Brentwood is where that accident is this morning. All right, so roads wet, please leave a space. Somebody want to cut in front of you, no problem. All right, but from before Charlieville is volume towards the interchange. All right, it is, I tell you the temp here, let me just move across. It is 24 degrees and rain out at Piaco. It is 26 degrees out in Crown Point in Tobago. Let's see what the weather is going to be like. Predominantly sunny, hazy, and breezy conditions with partly cloudy to cloudy skies accompanied by periodic brisk showers. There's a low to medium likelihood of showers becoming heavy or thunderstorms developing as the day advances. But it's going to be, around mid-morning to afternoon. All right, so that's a quick weather. Let's see who says hello first thing this morning via our mobile app and on our website. Today is Wednesday. That's Tuesday. It's hump day. First off the gate is, where is Ken E? He disappeared. First off the gate, we got Trev and Arima, followed by Maria Marva, Oliver Manwarren. Oliver, we'll talk yet. You believe that? Miss Ingrid in Tucson, Arizona. Wendy and DJ Ray out in Delaware morning. And he's saying in advance, happy Father's Day, TNT. Sankofa, good morning. Goth City in Valencia, lots of showers in Valencia this morning. Yeah, got that rain. Got soaked this morning coming in. Rena Bodo Jennings, good morning. D. Pierre. Hey, look who's up. It's Ray Ray out in West Palm Beach, Florida. It is CJ from New York. Good morning to you guys as well. All right, let's check some temps where most of you all are. Let's see. Toronto, you're at 12 degrees and cloudy. Miami, 26. Orlando, 24. New York, 17. Yep, I watched the Stanley Cup finals last night. Congratulations to Las Vegas. Yep, they won. And it's 23 degrees in Las Vegas, if you're wondering. Minus 51 in Antarctica. Ugh. 19 in Atlanta. London, you're at 23. 23 and sunny. Everybody is going to be out. Tampa, 26. Washington, D.C., you're sitting at 17 degrees. All right. That's some temps. Let me say good morning, good night to Paul Richards.
Morning, Steve. Morning, Wendell.
Morning.
Wendell is there. Good.
Paul,
I didn't even look
morning, Paul and Steve. Good morning, Richard. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. And listeners and viewers all over the globe.
Yeah.
It's
good morning, Edwin Marshall, watching us on YouTube. Ray watching us on YouTube as well. Brenda Isaac, good morning to you. Nice weather today, so enjoy. Thank you so much, Brenda. Yes.
It's raining in Arima.
Is it?
Hard. Every now and then it's coming on very hard and then it's stopping. It looks like it could clear up, but I'm not hopeful.
Mm-hmm.
It's been that way most mornings now,
Mm-hmm.
So We're here. We're happy to be in the land of the living. Let me say happy birthday to a few people. Nadra Nathai Gan, today's her birthday. Helena Pierre, Lauren Roberts, Kevin Toppin, Candy Stephen, who's my niece out there in Fort Lauderdale. Zico Ramdwa is the son of my very good friends Ainsley and Arlene Ramdwa. Happy birthday, Zico. And Ricardo Samuel. A lot of you all would know him. He is the other R in RR Productions.
Yeah, RS and RR Productions. Happy birthday, Ricardo.
Yes, he's
you
the
forgot
RS
one.
in RRRS Productions.
And you
Happy
forgot
birthday.
one.
Who did I forget?
He
Well, I don't have the
77
person
today.
Who?
He turned to 77 today.
77.
Making the news around the globe. The one, the only, Donald Trump.
Yeah?
Yeah, he turned 77 today.
You see all the drama with that man in the court and leaving the court to going to Versailles and then going to his private jet and thing yesterday. I just looked at this thing in awe. I said, this man clearly feel he's still the president, you know.
But he's again.
Well, brother.
You know he's a drama queen.
Yeah, he's a drama queen for sure.
America, I wish you luck.
He will easily get about 70, 80 million votes.
Imagine that, eh?
He will easily get 70, 80 million votes if he becomes the Republican nominee. I guarantee you.
No, you don't want to guarantee me. I know the politics is work.
You mean how the race relations go?
Yeah. How the divisiveness goes. In Trinidad and Tobago, you know, different because I think all you owe me because I told you all these small parties would come together with the UNC, but I didn't expect the UNC to be the one to make the overture. I thought they would have said, let's do it. But Kamla Prasad Bisesa from a UNC Monday night forum made a call for all these smaller parties to come together with the UNC. I kid you not.
Why is that such a great revelation or prediction?
Why? Because when I was predicting it, you all were doubting me. I think you might have agreed with me back then.
Why would it be a great prediction when the time the UNC won basically was when they joined with other parties? Why is it such a great prediction? And then they went solo and they lost twice. So what's the next option? Go back with amalgamation? That ain't no great prediction.
I guess so. But
that ain't no great prediction. If you won in 2010,
you're trying to diminish my contribution. You're trying to diminish my contribution.
And then you lost in 2015 and 2020 running solo. And you, I might told you a lot of story for y'all.
Yeah.
When Mrs. Pasabi Sessa has indicated she's nearing the end of her political career. That's what I heard. I heard she was ready to handle nobody.
Oh, please. That's not Donald Trump saying he giving up the Republican race. Oh, please, give me a break. That's why I brought it in right after you talk about Donald Trump. That ain't happening.
Yes, but Dr. Rowley kind of hinted he was kind of may have stepped down too, and he didn't.
Well, Dr. Rowley couldn't step down from leadership if he's the prime minister. He would have had to resign as prime minister.
I didn't say he had. Didn't he hint at some point before 2020 that he may have been ready to step down at some point?
Not before 2020, since 2020.
I never said, but around that time. Did he also?
Since
where's the point? They're both 70, 71. They both, it's understandable. They've both been in politics for 40 years.
Jump from Kamla Prasad Bisesa to keep Rowley just so?
Because it's not unusual for somebody at that age to say they're nearly an end of the political career. It's not unusual.
Well, Kamla Prasad Bisesa has not made that public. Dr. Rowley has made it public.
Kamla Prasad Bisesa has suggested she may be nearing the end of her political career. I just read it in the news.
That's in the news?
Keep up.
She said that? When she said that? When she
said that? I'm not the first time you hear that, keep up, but keep up.
You say you heard a Tory. So
I heard that, which I didn't divulge, but it's now become public because she says it. Keep up. Keep up.
She said it when? When the Monday night forum?
Godfather.
Where she said it, Paul?
All right, Wendell, she said on the Monday night forum that she may be coming to an end of a political...
You're going to argue, keep up now. The young...
Look, all getting fooled by Kamla Prasad Bisesa the way the American public getting fooled by Donald Trump. Give me a break. That she going to give up the chance of being prime minister again when she's sniffing that?
She said after she wins local government on August 14th and then general elections in 2025.
Okay. Paul, read the article for me because you're confusing me now.
No.
I thought you meant before. So it's after she wins local and general, she'll give up. Yeah. Yeah. Right.
Just reading what they said in the news. Okay.
Oh, God.
She says,
how come none of the
after
clips
victory in the next elections, one of the other party members will rise to lead the great party, and I will be able to rest.
Right. She better just give it.
I hear who it is too.
She better just give the leadership to Anita Haynes if she knows what
who should give it to, Paul?
The pet butler.
My WhatsApp is open.
The pet butler and you running?
Let me tell you, the amount of people that's come and say they want help with this and that, and
Rumbog's definitely out of that, I can tell you. Rumbog's ain't running for nothing except sales. That's all Rumbog wants, sales.
Chief Secretary of the Tobago House of Assembly, Fali Augustus, finally, at some level, referenced the audio tapes. He says he spoke at a meeting in Fairfield Complex, Bacolet, last night. He said, although he didn't really say much, he said he'd break his hand on Sunday matter in the coming days.
Yeah,
he will not be rushed by the media on the issue because there are security considerations to mull over.
What? What? Somebody threatened him? What do you mean? USA, yeah, do a USA. What do you mean by there are security considerations to mull over? He feel if he admits him that he could find himself a security risk. He feel if he say, well, that was my voice, which I don't think he has any choice but to say. He feels if he says
I don't see any security risk if he say it wasn't me.
It wasn't
right. So that's what I'm saying. If he says it's him, he run the risk of being, just call a damn election. Go back to the polls. He ain't promise either, like Mrs. Prasad and Dr. Rowley, that they give
I think he have a choice. I think Mr. Augustine is going to go the full length of his tenure in the current term of the Assembly.
Oh yeah.
But I listen.
The taste of the attention and authority is too great for him to resist.
That power, boy. That power.
Yeah. But we would have interviewed Dr. Vanas James, right? And I also would have had the benefit of listening to him being interviewed by another radio station because I heard it yesterday because they replayed that interview. I didn't hear it live because we would have been on here at the same time. But they replayed it yesterday, sometime after 9:30 or somewhere thereabouts, 9:30 a.m. And I heard it, and boy, oh boy, if you just had to go based on one person in Tobago, Dr. Vanas James, because as I said, we would have interviewed him, and he was very, very to the point. I don't know how Fali and them could be even going out and facing the public again.
Why? He's a politician.
No,
politicians have a lot of testicular fortitude.
Well, when you build a reputation as opined by people like Dr. James, and not only Dr. James, when Watson Duke was saying it, we were kind of dismissing him as he have a problem, he just jealous, that Fali, Watson Duke was saying basically the same thing. But now people like Dr. Vanas James and others are saying it, that he has a problem with the truth. You understand? I'm being kind with my words, okay? When you're hearing that from other people now, then you have to watch yourself. I don't know what you could come and say to the public now then that to justify this voice tape. You understand? What you could tell us that would appease us and say, okay, you're young, you're inexperienced, you're new, you have nice suits. He does. You understand? You keep yourself looking neat. You articulate. You're eloquent. Leave you there. No. So go and join up with the motley bunch now and try to get rid of the PNM. Like what? What is the sole purpose of all these other political parties? Not to run the country, not to fix the country, but to get rid of the PNM, because that's the message that's coming out from the UNC and all these other parties. Get rid of the PNM. That's it. That's their message to people.
Well, Anita Haynes' stance when asked about the audio tape when we were interviewed on Monday was very telling to me.
Well, all of them that's breaks. Everybody does all of a sudden, I didn't hear it, I didn't see it. When we spoke to Dr. Rampasad last time concerning the words of the pastor, not the pastor, the pundit. I didn't hear it. I don't know. I didn't examine it. Please. At something that is as public as that and as out there as that, reported in all manner of media, you ain't know about it, you ain't study it, you ain't read it, you ain't hear it. I tell you, I live in a twilight zone, you know. And that was the headline of my article on Facebook the other day with that Express story. Because Express clearly on an clear agenda. Because they went off about the HSF, did they? The Heritage and Civilization Fund, in terms of it losing money when that was not in fact so. And then they went all over the place except in the city of Port of Spain to talk about the city of Port of Spain. So you clearly have an agenda. And I don't know, nobody has addressed that as yet. Outside of myself and tagging other people on Facebook, I think one of the former councillor put it up. No official has addressed that issue of that article. The Excess has not apologized for it. They have not since put more. So I wait to see which municipality they will do this Sunday and where they will go.
More rain expected today. Weather officers warn there's a medium chance of a few heavy showers, thunderstorms during the afternoon and overnight.
All the way up till Friday afternoon, I think.
South Orapooch, which has been downgraded to yellow level, but extended to southeastern areas as the Ottawa River is at brink level. Well, this was earlier this morning. It could have, and I haven't heard anything else about that, but it was rising.
Well, I think the bad weather goes all the way up to Friday afternoon.
Yeah, there's a wind warning in effect, high wind as of 8 a.m. today to 2 p.m. on Friday. So.
Yep. So for roofs, people with unsecured roofs and so on, be mindful, be careful. Be careful.
Yeah.
Morning, neighbor.
Right, let's say good morning. Going out to Carol Guevara. Wagwan, Carol. What's Guan? Ms. Maloney Dudu, good morning. DJ Sleepy, how you doing? Miss Ingrid, good morning. Guys, Small. He says, H.S. Wilson says, good morning, H.S. Wilson. H.S. Wilson.
Alexander told
not chosen on Petrotrin. Keith Rowley.
Philip Alexander told Mrs. Pasabi, says, no, thank you.
Did I just... Gary Griffith basically hinted yes. Because what you call him? Mr. Landate destroying this place. So basically he kind of say he heading in that direction. No surprises there. I haven't heard anything from Louis Leasing and his party because they contested all the local government, all the Port of Spain council seats last time.
It's Louis Leasing's party?
Yeah. I haven't heard anything from him.
It's Louis Leasing's party?
Yeah. Who party it is?
I suppose it's an amalgamation of a few souls.
No, PPM? PPM was his? Was him?
No, I'm talking about Hope. He chaired a meeting of Hope recently.
Okay.
So I don't know
Well,
if that previous iteration is still active because he chaired a meeting of a new political party.
you're right. Hope. I forgot about Hope already, you know.
Can you keep up now? Oh gosh.
No, well, because it's kind of hopeless. It's hopeless. So I couldn't keep up with Hope.
Your data out of date.
Oh, I don't know why. You froze just now. I
Let's
saw
keep
you
calling
froze.
now on the job.
I saw you froze just now. Freeze, I should say.
Gentlemen,
But no, Louis Singh has been quiet leading up to this local elections, which is unusual for him. Because you spend 3 years in office and write a book on local government already. 3 years, 3 years, and you're expert.
local government elections is in exactly 2 months from today.
Is the book selling?
I don't know. Normally, when a book does sell, they just give it away, you know. You put it in like mode alive and you let people come and take one when they leave home.
Oh my God. Did you just say that?
Oh my Lord. Good morning, Gary.
You just said that? You actually just said that. You know, people hearing you, right?
Yes.
You can say, man, write a book to put in more life for people to take up as if it's a pamphlet. The man taking time and write a book based on his experiences and knowledge.
More Alive gives away books, you know. They give
So
away
was
books
that library?
and plants. When you leave in, you get to take either a book or plant.
Yeah, I got to take a plant. So the book next to the plants then.
The book on the inside by the cashier. You never see them?
No.
Plants outside, but they have books on the inside by the cashier.
So you saw Mr. Lee Singh's book there?
No, I didn't say that. I just suppose maybe that's what he did with the books he had.
Oh, okay. Wow.
You know?
It's a good morning to the TTPS and some good news, gentlemen. When did you went muted all of a sudden?
Me? I don't know why.
Okay, okay, sorry. Okay. Yeah, good morning to the TTPS. A mother and daughter went to an ATM in San Juan at an RBC, withdraw some money, and a guy wielding a knife came and held them up.
A guy with a knife?
Wielding
a knife and say, hey, you want that money?
I thought you said he was welding a knife.
No, he wasn't welding.
But the
police did capture the young man. So kudos to the TDPS. Yeah, they got him.
Oh, I didn't get that part of the story.
Yeah, they captured him. And yesterday, a man was robbed at gunpoint. And all his cash and cell phone and his wallet was taken while doing a transaction at an ATM at Scotiabank Trin City.
I saw that story too.
Yeah. I'm very.
There are clearly people marking these banks and especially ATMs. There are clearly a bunch of people marking them now. You know, and what it would take to get a sting operation going, because the underworld would be abuzz with who doing it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? It would be a buzz with who planning these things, who doing these things, you know. So you just have to be so very careful.
The underworld and so under, you know.
True, eh?
Sometimes the underworld in plain view, you know.
Plain view.
We keep quiet the underworld. It's so under, you know.
In the open.
Okay.
That might be true.
Underworld people keep quiet the underworld. So when you're driving down and you're seeing the underworld, you know, hey, the nice building. The nice building, where that come from? Empty for a while, boy. Okay.
Yep.
Am I wrong?
No.
Okay. But the underworld, they ain't so under, you know.
That's the overworld, though, eh?
The overworld, you mean?
What is it?
More like the overworld. But they're over everything.
Oh, yes.
But the underworld. They men so under a while now.
Oh, yes.
It's much real estate going up in Port of Spain and San Fernando and Chaguanas and all over the place. Oh, you're right, yes. Why you pretend the underworld is them little boys in Laventon and Mover? Not at all. Some of them are the ground soldiers.
Yeah,
Okay. Well, congratulations to Denver Nuggets. I haven't watched basketball in a while, but I happened to watch a bit of this game. Miami Heat's guys look like about half the size first to begin with of those Denver guys. Everybody looked like a midget to the Denver guys. You understand? But they really played. I thought I would have gone. They would have gone on the road of going the full distance. But they won. It's 4-1. So
yeah,
congratulations. That's the first.
It was a sloppy game. I thought it was a sloppy game, but
I just find NBA not like long ago when to me it used to be exciting now, which is that they change the players so often and they switch sides so often you can't even keep track. To me,
yeah,
maybe it's just age.
Yeah. But another Serbian has shone right after Novak Djokovic won his Grand Slam, in Nikola Jokic. He was the top player for the Denver Nuggets. He is huge. You know, so well done, Denver Nuggets. 47 years, and right after that, mass shooting in just a couple miles away from the stadium. Mass shooting. 7 people dead, I think.
No, 7 people injured.
Injured? Nobody died?
But
okay.
The sad stat about it, that is the 291st mass shooting in the U.S. for 2023. Yeah. As I said earlier on, Vegas won the Stanley Cup last night in ice hockey. So,
well, some good news. Well, to me anyway. The Minister in the Ministry of Education, Lisa Morris-Julian, has revealed that the committees appointed to review the SCA examination and the Concordat have completed their reviews. She indicated the reviews are before the Cabinet, and we will hear about the Cabinet's response to those examinations soon.
And that's the questions that you asked in Parliament.
You know, I'm really glad to hear. Sometimes you have to probe them to find out what's going on. So I'm glad. It'll be interesting to hear what those committees came up with, given the people's perspective on the SCA and whether or not it should be eliminated or not. And also the issue of the Concordat, which is the existence like 4 or 5 decades and not necessarily serving the best interest of all students. It primarily governs the relationship between the denominational schools and the state. You know, one of the things I heard yesterday was about the CSEC students who were stranded due to the rains and flooding, and what the government intends to do regarding their inability to write their exams on that day. Probably, is it Monday, right?
Yeah.
And the response has been, which is accurate. Trying to figure government doesn't set CSEC examinations and can't make a decision on that. That's a CXC.
From Barbados.
Oversight thing. So the response is going to be for them that they're going to use their exams and performance in exams previously to assess their grade.
But what's the precedent with that, Paul? Because this can't be the first time we would have.
No, I think that's the standard procedure. But my suggestion, my concern is that it's not the first time.
Right.
And it's not only in Trinidad and Tobago, events have made it impossible for students to write an exam. You can't necessarily give them the same exam, right? But you can set a makeup exam with the same metrics and parameters, examining the same competencies, and have it on standby for students who, for whatever reason, are unable to write that exam, whether it be natural disaster, illness, or whatever. So you don't have that problem. That's such a difficult projection to make.
But so that's why I'm asking, what has happened in the past?
This is what is happening in the past. They use the SBAs, they use their previous exam, the trends in their exams. You understand? But you see, some students do well in continuous, and some students really focus on the exam to get the bulk of their marks. You understand? So you may be at a disadvantage if, through no fault of your own, like forced day nature has happened on Monday, if you were unable to write the exam and now they're going to use your grades throughout the semester. You understand? So I just think CXC needs to consider when you're setting exams, always have a B exam ready.
Yeah.
Because you setting the exam, you can design an exam testing the same competencies and disciplines with different questions.
Yeah.
And have it on standby. That is, I mean, come on. Because there will be circumstances that arise, like what happened on Monday. A student may be able to provide a medical certificate saying they were ill on the exam day and they couldn't attend. They had a family issue on the day and they couldn't attend, and they should not be at a disadvantage because of that.
Mm-hmm.
If the reason is legitimate. And I just think, come on. It's not the first time, it's not the last time we're going to have floods. It's not the first time we had floods. Students in, for example, St. Vincent, when if the volcano, God forbid, erupts, you understand?
Mm-hmm.
Anything could happen on any island.
Yeah. Now, my son at the time of writing exams was under quarantine because his mom tested positive for COVID, and he was allowed after because of the circumstances.
But did he get another exam to write, or did he get it?
Yeah, no, he got another exam to write.
A different exam, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. He didn't get the same exam his colleagues got when they wrote it, because somebody could have called him and said, well, this came or that came or that came. Right. You understand? Which would put him at an unfair advantage. But you just have another exam on standby because extenuating circumstances will arise.
Yes. And certainly during that time, if you remember, COVID was raging also during that month of May, June in 2021. It was raging all during
that provision should be a standard provision. Because there's a lot of students didn't get to write the exam because of the floods on Monday. You know, and that to me is unfair to them, because now you're using a different grading metrics for them as you are using for their colleagues who wrote the exam on Monday. I expect some legal action.
We'll see where
people to play with the chair in the future, you know.
I know.
And they're right. Because you couldn't think of contingency plans. The Minister of National Security came to the Senate yesterday to answer a question I asked about crime trends. He indicated Barataria, St. Joseph, and Cunupia were the areas which showed an increase in a marginal increase. Let me be specific, in home invasions, but there wasn't a lot. But he of course used the comparative period, last year to this year, or this year to last year, right? When I really wanted the last 6 months, July to August 2022, to January to June 2023. But you know, people could play with statistics because you got the information from the TTPS. So the increases were not significant. They were like 2 in one area, 2 additional compared to the same period last year. 1 in one area and 2 in the other area. But what I really wanted was a comparative of the last 6 months to this 6 month period, you know? He also said there was a marked increase. Of course, the murders have increased, and a marked increase in car thefts.
Yeah. Car thefts is one of the biggest ones. Yeah.
Which is, I mean, I ran out of questions, because you have a certain amount of questions, certain number of questions you can ask. I really wanted to ask, but I didn't have an additional question option available. How much the licensing office and ministry is involved in this, given the fact that if these people are stealing cars at that level, like the find the police discovered recently, how many of these cars are trying to be passed off for sale, or is it parts? You understand?
You want me give you a personal experience, and I would have given this on air already. 30 years ago, I was sitting in my car. I had a Nissan Sunny, brand new, nice rims, drop low, tint, sound system, you name it.
That's when you were hunting.
Real nice. Yeah, actually, I was.
That means I was hunting.
Yeah. So I parked up by some friends of mine in St. James, and I was sitting in the car with the door open, and they were outside of the car talking with me. And I saw this car drove past me, because up on that road it's kind of quiet in the night. But I'm always observant of my surroundings, right? And I've always been somebody to look at and memorize number plates, right? So this car passed me and it turned down a street, and so we kept talking. Not too long after, two guys walking up from that distance, right? Across the road on the other side from me. But I'm looking at them, talking, glimpsing at them, talking, glimpsing at them. And as they come alongside my car, they ran across the road and drew guns and told me, get out of the car, right? I had the presence of mind, as I say. I actually bounced my starter to drive off, but then the girls were on the pavement and I say, you know something, let me just come out of the car. And I came out of the car and they left with my car, right? I immediately started to head towards the St. James police station because it wasn't a fair time. And I saw a police car and I flagged them down and I jumped in the police car and I explained to them what happened. And, well, they made their calls and whatnot and they started searching and so on, right? Because my car could not hide. If it was on the road that hour, it couldn't hide. However, I didn't get my car. So the police went to all the different scrap yards at the point in time, looking, no sign of my car. It so happens, I found out this subsequently, my car was driven into a school compound because the MTS guard on duty at the time was part of that car stealing ring.
Okay.
So nobody ain't going to look on a school compound now at the night or morning to find a car, right?
Creative.
So, very. It so happens my car was repainted, put on new number plates, registered in somebody's name at licensing office. I kid you not, eh? It changed registration and licensing office with a new paint job and a new number plate and end up for sale down south, Monrepo. And so we did some police detective work, I should say, because the police wasn't about to do it, although they were helpful in the end. And when down there with police, it so happens my spare key that I still had was still starting the car. So they were convinced it's my car. You understand? And there was my muffler was a gun barrel at the time, right? It was an old gun barrel and they didn't change that.
You were a saga boy?
Everything else on the car had changed except that gun barrel and, of course, the ignition. And I said, well, I got back my car. That's
kind of stupid. She leave a defining mark like a gun barrel on the muffler.
Yeah, but they ain't checking for that. They thought they had gotten away with it, Paul. They thought they had gotten away with, because as I'm telling you, my car was a different color. It was blue when I bought it. It was now white. It was a PAU. It was now a PAS. You understand? And it looked different from all appearances and was in somebody else's name down licensing office.
I wonder who held them in the licensing office at that time.
I wonder myself. I wondered then and I still wonder now.
So you know that somebody in the licensing office would have had to be complicit to re-register that car.
We were
with
told
the same chassis number as your car, as your registration and all of that.
We were told all of that back then. That there was a ring, and the ring included an MTS guard that would facilitate the cars coming into the school compound. So no police ain't going looking in no school compound for no car. Solo car.
Tell you.
They went looking in all the scrap yards. The car was the MTS guard was arrested because the car was home by him for sale in Monrepo.
Was he arrested?
Yeah, he was.
Okay.
So that is my story. That's a personal story.
And yours is like thousands of others over the years.
Oh yes. Being held.
I wonder if the woman who lost the car in price might got back her car.
No, I don't think she has. She's pleading for her daughter's certificates. She's been still pleading for that. I saw a post on social media just this weekend. Go on.
You have a number for me. Maybe we could talk to her at some point and see how she's doing.
I actually do. I think I do have a number for Akila. Akila was a counselor in Diego Martin Regional Corporation.
Yeah. It's a
Akila
distressing thing. She's a self-employed person, a caterer, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't have a number actually.
And the car was kind of one of her business
what
things.
does Carol mean?
Anyway.
Harper, if you're listening, send Akila's number for me.
You mean Harper, if you're listening?
I'm sure he is. Well, he ain't
That's the
messaged me for
point.
the morning. But Harper, send Akila's number for me. Akila Glasgow.
I wonder if she's by this time gotten the footage from Price Mart. You think so?
All right. I don't know.
I know she's having some problems at the start to get the footage from Price Mart. They told her she had to go to the police and make a report, and then the police would come back and ask for the footage with the report. What kind of foolishness? So the car down across the Bucas already.
Somebody do better than Harper. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. I'm gonna send it to you, Paul.
It's sent to Steve.
I'm gonna send it to both of you and Steve. I always do
I
Paul
don't need it.
and Paul.
Steve would have to
I don't
call
know
her.
what you're waiting on. I don't know what you're waiting on to come back in the chat. I have to keep sending messages to you and the group all the time.
My sensitivities don't allow me to absorb what you put in the chat sometimes.
You know this season here is politics and all the tail. You know that, yet?
That's why I stay out.
By the way, PNM has a meeting in St. James tomorrow night at Songforge, 7 p.m. You are welcome to come down. All right? Come down as a media person.
Yeah, and they will disaggregate that, right? when they put the picture on TikTok, they will disaggregate that. He was there as a media person, and
All right, gentlemen, let's say good morning, good night to Carlisle Cupid, Marcia Rock, KM. Good morning to you all as well. Dennis from Diego Martin. Good morning to you all. Thank you so much for joining us on the Power Breakfast Show. It is time to get into the headlines of our news.
The Express Online for today, Wednesday, the 14th of June, 2023. A muddy mess. Intense rainfall has this week made it worse for an unresolved mudslide in Guaracara Tabakit Road, blocking access for hundreds of residents. Met Office, more heavy showers due today. Kamala eyes UNC victory. No thanks, Kamala. Small political parties are not tripping over themselves to join the UNC to defeat the PNM in the August 14th local government elections. PP's Philip Alexander said yesterday that he was not interested. Rapist, killer, taxi driver loses appeal. Guyanese charged after applying for TNT passport. 3 on drug charges, fined $7,000. I saw something yesterday, which is quite curious, that the Venezuelan national who was held in connection with the arms fine was already tried and sentenced. Did you see that?
Caller said he got 9 years. A caller said that yesterday, all within 1 week.
1 week? Since when the system has worked so fast?
I have no idea. I said the same thing.
I was I wasn't upset, but I was very surprised. You know?
You sure that's true? That's accurate?
Which was reported in several media outlets.
A caller said so yesterday. I think it was Mr. Patrick.
Maybe they have night court. All right, let's go to the news day. Tabakit students brave hazardous landslips to reach CSEC exam. Review of SCN Concordat completed to be made public soon. UNC in talks with smaller parties for local government election. Ministry to contact CXC. Flooding made some students miss exams. Anti-corruption officers head to Tobago. Cops probe THA voice note. Duke, THA running illegally without chief administrator. Sinanan and Sami feud over Penal Debe flooding. Woodland blindsided by early flooding. And PEP says no to UNC's alliance invite. So those are stories in your news day. You know the Guardians take a while, so you talk a little bit there.
So PEP says no, but NTA, Gary Griffith joined with the UNC. Gary Griffith, I ain't believe that. I ain't believe that. We have to call Gary. Gary Griffith,
All right.
the UNC,
I'm
who
up with a
they
poll one
supporting
time
for
as well.
nothing. Huh? Well, we can ask that. Are you surprised? Are you surprised that the NTA
And on the
UNC
Guardian, slowly receding water prevents proper cleanup in Barrackpore. Ministry to petition CXC on behalf of students who missed exams due to floods. Woodland residents evacuate as riverbank breached. Gary Gavin keen on forging alliance with UNC. Wait, let me just finish before you jump on that. I know you.
I want to say something about that.
Imber, Kamala misleading public over inheritance tax. Hines, increase in murders, car thefts, drug offenses since December. TNT and Ukraine share experiences with GBV. And Kamala's coalition call risky, says a political analyst. So those are trending stories in your Express, Guardian, and Newsday for today, June 14th, 2023.
All right.
Gavin,
Thank you, Paul. While you guys come up with a morning poll, let me give you the results of our poll from yesterday. It's a doozy. Do you think the UNC joining with smaller political parties will yield more success in the upcoming local government elections, which is 2 months away from today? I'll give you results after this.
Dr. Raj is back on Power 102 Digital.
Sexplosion.
Yes, Sexplosion is back every Friday, 4 to 6 p.m. Join Dr. Raj as he explores the issues related to sexual intimacy and sexuality.
Hi, this is Dr. Raj. I am back on Power 102 with Sexplosion.
Join us. Sexplosion with Dr. Raj is back.
4 to 6 every Friday and only on Power 102 Digital.
All right. Thank you, Pablo. Do you think the UNC joining with smaller political parties will yield more success in the upcoming local government elections? The results are in. 69% said, drum roll, no.
Well,
I'm suggesting
the poll yesterday that I didn't hear cancels out my poll today, because I was actually going to ask if you support the call by the UNC for the smaller parties to join with them.
The question I'm suggesting this morning is, do you think the state's response to flooding in South Trinidad has been adequate?
Okay.
Yeah, because it's still water in
David. Or we can ask about the exam. The proposal.
You can't ask about the exam. It's a process that they have to go through. What are you going to ask?
Well, you suggested that the state make an intervention.
The state is making an intervention. They petition CXC to get an additional exam.
Right.
So you have to wait and CXC to respond.
Okay, so why we can't ask if you support that call? As opposed to the state response to flooding. What else you expected the state to do in terms of flooding?
I don't know. People in South may find they actually responded adequately, and some may not. That is what the question is about.
So let's ask it now. You don't get testy this morning with me, you know? Wrong person, you know? Wrong person, you know? Anyway, Gavin Nicholas feel we forget he contested for the UNC. All of a sudden now he have a political party again. He done a yellow shirt and contest our election for UNC. He feel we forget. I put it on his Facebook profile thing yesterday when he asked a question and he didn't respond yet. I think he deleted my comment. He feel we forget. Anyway, our poll this morning, Paul, is?
Do you think the state response to the flooding in South Trinidad has been adequate?
Yep, that's our poll. 222-8255. Toll-free North Americans, 866-525-1099. Do you think the state's response to the flooding in South Trinidad has been adequate? All right, as we we're just 14 days into the hurricane season, a month pretty much into the rainy season, and, are you happy with the response? Yeah, by the state, yes or no? All right. Good morning to Sherry.
When do they have to write,
Yeah, I will do it.
I don't know where Wendell went.
Where's the camera? Turn on the camera.
No, because it keep freezing up. So I'll do the results. That's all right.
But you're accustomed working with freezing equipment.
Sure.
Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Grandy. Absolutely not, especially when we know flooding is an annual event.
And look where you are in Grandy. How's Grandy right now?
Grandy looking good, man. The weather is sun is
Cleared
trying to
up.
come out.
Lovely.
Grandy have sunshine. Don't try that.
Sherry says, good morning, Sherry. To reduce car theft, personnel or people making plates should be registered with the licensing office. We have said that a million times.
They're making plates right down in licensing office.
Yeah, I mean the plate should be like North America. It should be the person's license plate, not the car. You buy a car, you have your plate, you put it on.
How much time we talk that?
Fed up talk about that, but I don't know. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, as can be. Talk to the Lord.
That's not answer, Miss Sampson.
Miss Sampson, we just want yes or no. Gosh, is that so difficult? DJ Sleepy, Miss Sampson, DJ Sleepy says no. Do it just like that. Launch Park says no. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, big guy here. What response? Definitely not.
No. Thank you, big guy. All the best. Have a great one. Wish Donald Trump a happy birthday today. He's 77. All right.
You're telling big guy to do that?
The state's response to the flooding in South Trinidad has been adequate. That's our poll. All right. 222-8255. Toll free North Americans 866-525-1099. On YouTube, you're watching us on YouTube? Send us a message like Josie Richardson. Morning, Josie. Josie and the Pussycats. Gosh, American Idol, watch out. Josie says no. Edwin Marshall. I don't believe license plates should be zoned. No, I wouldn't want that at all. They should be the license plate should be the owner should have the license plate, not the car. That's what I think. Yeah. Also message us yes or no on our mobile app on our website at power102fm.com. Do you think that the state's response to the flooding in South Trinidad has been adequate? All right. We've seen wonderful citizens of our Twin Island Republic going out to, I saw it on news the other night, Monday night, I believe it was, taking his 3-ton truck and transporting kids to their schools. Kudos to you.
You know, I saw.
Good morning to Sexy San Fernando.
I saw an opposing view to that story. That person may actually have been putting those children at risk because of the water. But I guess it's a judgment call at the time.
Yeah, well, he's saying that they have to go to exams. I agree with the driver. Help them as much. I mean, if I had a truck and I had the time, I would have probably done.
Well, I guess he would have made a judgment call based on the vehicle he was driving.
Exactly. Good morning, caller.
He could take him over the waters.
Yes, it is an act of God. Thank you.
Yes.
Morning.
All right.
We have one.
Stretch. Paul, and these questions. The water must have to subside first. Yes. Yeah. Sushi Trace in Pinal is still knee-height in water.
Is Stretch suggesting Paul has an agenda with these questions?
No.
Oh.
He said the water must subside first.
Okay.
But he said yes. Let's see. Yeah. Do you think the state's response to the flooding in South Trinidad has been adequate? Yes or no? You have 1 minute exactly to vote before we head up towards our 7 o'clock major news with Avi. Yep. The big bad wolf, I call her. I call her other names, but I cannot tell you on air. I cannot at all. Right. Okay. Yeah. Let's see. Do you think the state response to the flooding for Trinidad has been adequate? Yes or no? Sexy San Fernando. Morning, Sexy San Fernando. Good morning to my weather TT crew. Good morning to you all. No to the poll, says Sexy San Fernando. Yep. All right. Let's see. Got some calls. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Morning.
Yes. Compared to the response at Greenville and Arima, I say no.
All right. Thank you so much. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Steve. My answer is no.
All right, Dinsley. Thank you so much. Have a good day. All right. Big Bad Wolf is coming in. Let's see. Any more here? Dennis says yes. Evie, I don't understand you. I don't understand you at all.
I'm sorry, Steve. I'm sorry. Good morning. I'm sorry.
People take the time and date down. Evie actually told me she is sorry.
I did.
That never happens.
Ever.
Never.
Ever.
The kind of abuse I get.
I don't know about that.
The amount of complaints I've made to HR.
I don't know about
They just
that.
don't take me on. They don't. They don't. Let me adjust this thing that Evie just knocked over.
I'm sorry.
Lovely. Let's get into our news. Shall we, Evie? Are we ready?
Of course.
Let's go. All right. Let's get into our 7 o'clock major news on this. Love Day, the 14th day of June. Yeah. All right. Evie is in.
This is your news bulletin from Power 102 Digital.
Chief Secretary Fali Augustin says he's confident that he'll be cleared of any wrongdoing when he addresses a controversial audio recording. Watson Duke believes the THA is running illegally without a chief administrator. And the city of Nottingham is shaken by a series of attacks, which has left 2 teenage students and another man dead. Details in a moment. This is news to 7 o'clock on Power 102 Digital. I'm Avril Sintel Bob. Good morning. Chief Secretary Fali Augustin says he's confident that he will be cleared of any wrongdoing when he does address the controversial audio recording which was recently leaked on social media. In the recording, 2 persons are heard discussing paying persons full-time through the THA to spread propaganda online about the new Tobago People's Party. Speaking at a THA town meeting at the Fairfield complex in Bartlett, Scarborough last night, Augustin publicly addressed the issue for the first time but did little to clear the air. Instead, he said he has nothing to be worried about and will break his silence on the matter in the coming days. Augustin added that he will not be rushed by the media to talk on the issue as there are security considerations to mull over. Well, Progressive Democratic Patriots political leader Watson Duke believes the THA is running illegally without a chief administrator. The THA has had no chief administrator since Ethlyn John retired on May 17th. At a news conference on Tuesday at the PDP's headquarters, Portmore, Scarborough, Tobago, Duke said the Fali Augustin-led administration cannot refer to any law to justify running the affairs of the THA without a sitting chief administrator. Duke, the assemblyman for Roxborough Argyle, said Augustin and former Chief Secretary Hu Choi Charles should have spoken on the issue already. Persons Or rather, the United National Congress political leader Kamla Persad-Basasa has suggested that she's nearing the end of her political career. The 71-year-old opposition leader told supporters on Monday night that she is on the home stretch of her political career. However, she vowed to beat the governing People's National Movement in the August 14th local government election and then in the 2025 general election before taking her leave. Persad-Basasa said that after victory at the two elections to be faced within the next 2 years, one of the other party members will rise to lead their great party and she will be able to rest. Persons should prepare for more possible rains today. This is according to the Meteorological Office, which has warned that there is a medium chance of a few heavy showers or thunderstorms during the afternoon and overnight. Despite this, however, the riverine flood alert in South Oropouche has been downgraded to a yellow level, but has been extended to southeastern areas of Trinidad, as the Ottawa River is currently at bank level. There is now a moderate risk of flooding in southeast Trinidad. The Cabinet-appointed committee has completed its review of the changes to the conduct of the secondary entrance assessment and transition to secondary school and the Concordat. In providing an update on the status of the report, Minister in the Ministry of Education, Lisa Morris-Julian, said the report is before the Cabinet. Proposals submitted have been reviewed and Cabinet's decision will be made public in due course. Independent Senator Dr. Paul Richards posed a question on the development in the Senate on Tuesday.
Mr. President, it would be made public once the Cabinet has completed its deliberations, and I cannot presume to put a deadline on something that is as weighty as this. But I can assure through you, Mr. President, the Senator, it is receiving the attention that it deserves, and it will be available in due course.
You are listening to news on Power 102 Digital to 7 o'clock. The city of Nottingham has been shaken by a series of attacks which left 2 teenage students and another man dead. Barnaby Weber, 19, Grace Kumar, 19, and a man in his 50s were fatally stabbed. 3 people were hit by a van police believe was stolen from the older stabbing victim. A suspect was tasered by police before being arrested on suspicion of murder. Counter-terrorism police are involved in the investigation, but no link on extremism has been confirmed. Police said that they are still in the early stages of the inquiry into the attacks, which occurred during the early hours of Tuesday and had yet to determine an exact motive. The BBC has been told by official sources that the 31-year-old suspect was originally from West Africa, but had been in the UK for many years and had settled status. Finally, here is your weather news for the period today till midnight. Trinidad and Tobago, partly cloudy to cloudy with intermittent showers, especially from late morning. There's also a medium to high chance of thunderstorm activity. These conditions will likely settle by midnight. Gusty winds and street flooding are possible in the event of heavy downpours and thunderstorms. Please keep in mind that there is a yellow level alert for high winds in effect and a yellow level riverine alert also in effect. Look out for a forecast. The maximum temperature this morning of 30 degrees Celsius at Piarco International Airport and 31 degrees Celsius at Crown Point, Tobago. Currently, it's 26 degrees Celsius at Piarco and 27 at Crown Point in Tobago. Recapping your headlines to 7 o'clock. Chief Secretary Fali Augustin says he's confident he will be cleared of any wrongdoing when he does address a controversial audio recording. Watson Duke believes the THA is running illegally without a chief administrator. The United National Congress political leader Kamla Persad-Basasa suggests that she's nearing the end of her political career, and the city of Nottingham is shaken by a series of attacks which left 2 teenage students and another man dead. I'm Avril Sintel-Bab. That was news to 7 o'clock on Power 102 Digital. Look out for more news in detail at 8 o'clock. And news headlines, or rather news update, coming up at 8 o'clock this morning. For more details, log on to power102fm.com.
Up to date and credible. Power 102 Digital.
Indeed, we are. Thank you, Avril, for our major news. Joining again at 8 o'clock for a news brief. All right. 9 minutes after the hour of 7 o'clock. Quickly, let's, before I give you the results of our poll and bring in our guests, let's take a look at what's happening traffic-wise. The creek in San Fernando, it's a bit busy. If you're leaving Siparia, heading towards Penal and onto the highway, you got a bit of traffic there. Yeah, the Solo, not too bad. As you head northbound, Rivulet Road is heavy. You're going to get traffic from Freeport to Sugar Guanas and then Charlieville towards the interchange. Southern Main Road from Sugar approaching Chin Chin Road, and after towards Ibis Gardens, you got some traffic there. Kelly Village as well. Santa Rosa, you've got traffic as you head towards O'Meara, and Maloney towards Huey, and then Curep to Port of Spain, you've got some traffic on the highway. Tacarigua, Paja Road is heavy. Mokoya Road is heavy. Going to St. Augustine Curep from Champlain to Mount Hope, and an extension towards Mova Junction. You got it Lower Santa Cruz coming down from Santa Cruz to San Juan. Got it slow going up, and the straight stretch towards the Lookout. Got some traffic. Out of Maraval, horrendous. From the Pillars and Maracas straight down to the roundabout. Long Circular Road is heavy. Diego Martin Main Road also heavy. And coming out of Carnage. Western Main Roads in James got some traffic there as well. All right, let's check to see if I have any more votes. No more votes. So, gentlemen, let's get the results of our morning poll.
All right, the results of our poll is 3 people said yes and 8 people said no. All
Since
right?
people have a issue with the questions I can't put all your own damn questions.
If your questions has a slant of an agenda.
What slant have been? Tell me, what slant the question has? What slant?
Because
the question was an open question, so people could have said the state's response was adequate or not. How is that? What slant did it have?
Well, what do you consider adequate? You have to
I don't know. People could have found that the state responded in a timely manner. They intervened. They dropped off people. They dropped off sandbags. They moved people who were flooded. The people could have found the state's response was adequate.
Okay, but you know what you're referring to is a local government.
Exactly, right? Local government represents the state in that instance.
Yeah, but as it is now, there is no local government.
But responses from the corporation stay intact. You know that.
Yeah, but guess what? If it's not led by anybody, you know, this is what you're gonna have. And I don't know.
You can't put your question.
Yeah, but I don't know that in a case
of heavy rainfall. Have an agenda. What agenda the question have?
I don't know that in a case of heavy rainfall, what other response you require?
And as I said, people could have found the response was great.
No,
it's an open question.
Well, there's no great. There's no good or bad response to heavy rainfall, Paul.
Yes, there can be bad responses. Some corporations do nothing. If they do nothing or they don't supply things or the response is not timely, it's not a good response. I mean, there's no bad response.
What would you consider a bad response in a case like that yesterday?
No sandbags. They're not responding in a timely manner. They're not answering the phone.
But how do you know that is what in fact obtained?
I don't know. That's why we asked the question.
Okay.
Careful, your eyes pop out your head there, Paul.
I not against you for the question, you know.
But, really? Is you insinuating the agenda? Is you insinuating the agenda?
What do you mean? I insinuated it based on messages that I got.
Well, who you and whoever. So all your cousins, come and put all your own question.
Cousins?
That's my euphemism, my cousins.
Anyway.
This is my questions agenda driven. Okay? My questions have agenda. So feel free.
You know, for some people it comes across like that.
Right. Well, feel free. Come up with your own questions. Not agenda driven.
Don't blame the people for their
come up with your own questions. Done. Come up with your own questions.
They're participating in our program.
Good. And I'm responding to that. Come up with your own questions, so there's never an agenda behind it.
Okay, unless I don't know the mechanism for asking people now to come up with the questions.
They could send it on the chat. They could send it through the YouTube comments.
No, well then we will have a gendered
Really? Oh well, then how we can? Well, then you come up with the questions because your questions you never have an agenda.
Hello, I'm a PNM.
But you never have an agenda, so you know. Let's see come for the question.
Whoops! I don't hide the fact that I'm a PNM, you know. I ain't hiding that from nobody to satisfy nobody. You understand? Even PNM people might not always like when I say that, but I am a people's national movement supporter.
Ronaldo ones that you in so much trouble. Let me tell you.
That's the soldier guy.
Yeah, you are in so much trouble.
You
gonna mess up your life.
And you know what? Based on a story I was hearing yesterday, you steal a gun and have no ammunition to use in it. So the gun was just
one of the reports I saw indicated the gun and a magazine were recovered.
Yeah. Okay. I didn't see that.
Keep up.
Yeah. I don't necessarily follow news during the day, no, Paul. I have to tell you, news is depressing.
So commented on it though.
Yeah, well, I commented on it because
as a talk show host, you should
I had to come on radio and do it.
Yeah, but you're making statements and you don't know about it. You have all the information.
I will catch up. For instance, I can tell you that Gavin Nicholas posted yesterday about his MND party, and all of a sudden he resuscitated the MND. But here this article is from the 10th of June 2010. And here it's by Kimberly McCann. And the article starts, defeated United National Congress candidate for Diego Martin Northeast, Gavin Nicholas, has been tipped to assume control of the portfolio that fell under former Information Minister Neil Parsonal. A well-placed source said the Trinidad Guardian was yesterday informed that Nicholas would be made press secretary in the office of the Prime Minister. Well, guess what? He went on to be press secretary. Then he went on to be High Commissioner to London. Then he went on to be Attorney General. All with 10 people in his party.
Good morning, Vasan.
10 people he had, Vasan, not so?
Good morning.
Morning, Vasan. How are you?
Very well, thank you. How are you guys?
Not too bad. It's been a while. Thank you so much for joining us on the Power Breakfast Show.
My pleasure.
I love that chair, though. Yeah, I'm going to come and pick up by your house, yes?
When I'm ready to pull it out, I'll let you know.
No problem. Sounds like a plan. Oh, welcome. Richard will join us shortly, though.
Okay.
Morning, Vasan Bharat.
Morning. How are you?
We're doing fine. We're doing just fine. You know,
I'm sure
I'll be seeing you at cricket soon.
Oh yes, for sure. I was hoping to play a bit, but they put off the playing of the cricket for the watching of the cricket. So I'll see you because you sit right close by me. So I'll see you.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Oh, one of you all invite me.
That if the one day that members can't bring a guest for those international matches.
Yeah, that's true.
So much to talk about. Where do we start?
Where to start?
Let's start with you've been Minister of Trade and Communication and Agriculture and Communication. Quite a number of portfolios. And you have a finance and economic background. What are your thoughts on the Heritage and Stabilization Fund and information disseminated recently?
Well, I think first of all, it is much of, a lot of what has been said in the press recently, it's a lack of knowledge, and it's to a certain degree a level of ignorance that a lot of people don't understand how sovereign funds work, and funds and investment funds in general work. I think we've got to go back to 2007 and understand that when the sovereign fund, the Heritage and Stabilization Fund, was set up, there was what's called a strategic asset allocation that was determined by the then board as to being a balanced portfolio that would balance risk versus return. In other words, these monies belong to taxpayers, and you don't want to be investing in very risky funds, although they may bring back, obviously, higher returns. So an investment portfolio was determined, and I think that strategic asset allocation still remains till today. Now, what happened in 2022, and it wasn't just with our wealth fund, it was across the globe. So you see that if memory serves me correctly, when I read recently, it was the wealth funds of China, of Dubai, Norway in particular, suffered huge losses as a result of what was happening globally as a direct result of COVID, and as a direct result, obviously, of what was happening in the Soviet bloc with Russia and Ukraine, and those led to certain unforeseen circumstances that tilted what would otherwise be relatively safe investments. And I'm talking here about U.S. Treasury stocks. I'm talking about safe, what would be deemed to be safe U.S. Equities, and some non-U.S. equities, particularly in Australia, Denmark, and so on. It tilted those stocks and investment vehicles, to investment assets, to the downward, to trend in a downward manner. And as a direct result, of course, because we were invested in those instruments, Trinidad and Tobago lost what was reported to be $913 million US. Now, taken out of context by people who don't know or tempting to just use it to their advantage, really and truly, they're misleading the population. And
well, was the Express headline misleading in your opinion then?
What was the Express headline?
I think fund loses 900,000 or whatever it was.
Well, no, it was accurate. It was accurate at a point in time. And that point in time was at the end of the period ended 31st of September 2022. Of course, the fund has now recovered $500 million. So, you know, one would expect that if that situation were to persist, then it's something that would be cause for alarm in Trinidad and Tobago. But clearly that situation hasn't persisted, and markets are looking now to correct itself. So I think that yes, it's something that we need to look at in future, in terms of maybe we need to be looking now that we know, we need to be looking at the strategic asset portfolio allocation and determine whether it still serves our purpose, or whether we need to be relooking at other parts of the world outside of the US predominantly, which may be safer. So these are things that the board has to determine. Now remember that the board consists, and this is my one criticism here, the board consists of the chairman, who is Mr. Ewart Williams, the former central bank governor. It also consists of the current governor, the current deputy governor, also I think the PS and Ministry of Finance, Suzette Leachy, and one other person, Mr. Bevan Narayan Singh. Now, the day-to-day running of the fund is the responsibility of the central bank, and the central bank then employs what's called external managers because the central bank itself is not an expert in investment instruments. So they now employ external managers to look after the investment portfolio. My one issue here is that if the board consists of the governor and the current governor and the current deputy governor of the central bank, and the central bank itself is responsible for the day-to-day operations, it's himself unto himself. So in other words, it creates a lack of transparency, and particular lack of accountability, not necessarily transparency, but a lack of accountability because the very same people who are responsible for the day-to-day running of the fund are the people to whom they report, which would be the board of governors. So I have an issue with that. I think that those responsibilities should be delegated. There should be a separation of those duties. But other than that, as I said, what is shocking to me, however, is that the report, according to Mr. Imbert, was laid in Parliament on February the 3rd. And it is only now that the Express has divulged this information that the opposition has jumped on the matter. I mean, and this matter has been in the Parliament for 4 months. And they've not picked up on, what many people would perceive as an alarming loss. Certainly at that time, before the correction took place, the losses would have been, would have been large. So I find it strange that the opposition, did not pick up on a matter as what potentially could have been as grave as this.
Who does the opposition have shadowing finance anyway? I'm not even sure.
Isn't it Dave Tanku?
I think it's Mr. Tanku. But again, it comes back, and I've always said this. I mean, if you put people who don't have the capacity or capability of looking after the interests of the population, but they only jump up and rah at election time, then you're always going to get issues like this not being addressed, and again, not serving the country's interests.
Yeah.
That's a great segue to your impressions of the political environment. Local government elections have been called. Mrs. Prasad-Bissessy has made several pronouncements. One, that the UNC is open to working with smaller political parties in a bid to unseat the PNM on August 14th and moving forward to 2025, and that she's nearing the end of her political career, and if and when she leads the party to victory, or the parties to victory in local and general elections, she'll pass the mantle off to someone who will quote-unquote rise. What are your thoughts on, first of all, the opening of the spectre to involve other political parties, as was done in 2010?
But let me add to that.
2015 and 2020.
Yeah. Let me add to that, Paul, in that she had said that the formula worked in 2010. Now that formula, Vasan, included yourself and Jack Warner. Is it that you all are also being invited to be part of this campaign to get rid of the PNM? Because that's where the campaign is, to get rid of the PNM.
First of all, let me say that a platform that is based primarily on getting rid of the PNM is not something that I could endorse, simply because, to me, to get rid of another party, you have to be better, and you have to position yourself as better. You cannot have a campaign essentially based on getting rid of the PNM for the sake of getting rid of the PNM. Getting rid of the PNM and replacing them with what is what the population is concerned about. And I think, with regard to, as a direct result, in my opinion, a desperate call for parties coming together. To me, that is quite a humiliation for the rank and file of the party to know that after 34 years of existence of a party that was in government, formed governments on its own at one point in time when Mr. Pandey was Prime Minister, I think it was back in 2000, have been in opposition now for 8 years. I think it's quite humiliating for the rank and file and the members of the party to have to go through the ignominy of its leader calling for, or almost begging for, small parties to get involved, because I think primarily they're unable to fill the 141 seats themselves. So I think it is a direct reflection on the leadership of the UNC that after 8 years of opposition, they have been unable to rally the country behind the cause of the UNC, and they're now having to, as I say, go cap in hand, begging small parties who we don't know. I mean, several I saw on the news last night suggesting that they want to have nothing to do with the UNC. But I think it must be a humiliating experience for the members of the party to know that after 8 years, they have done virtually nothing. I want to say virtually, I mean almost nothing in terms of...
But let me ask, did the coalition experiment work past getting in power in 2010? And do you think it has a prospect for working again?
No, it didn't work because very shortly after, you see, there was really no intention in my, I mean, and I can say this after the fact, there was really no intention to maintain what I would call this partnership together. There was no intention of merging ideologies that could be long-lasting and sustainable. It was a political liaison of convenience to win an election. And to me, the population is completely fed up of these promises and these coalitions of convenience, which unfortunately ends always in a very disappointing manner for the population. I think if we are fair, this current government is very tired. I think they've run out of ideas. I think that they're just running on automatic at this point in time. A lot of the policies that they're putting out are knee-jerk and in reaction to how the population is feeling. But I still think the population, despite all of the hardships that they're going through, and despite all of the current disappointments, and despite all of the issues with regard to food prices and crime and impending property tax and so on, I still think that they're fearful of any arrangement that the UNC gets involved in with other parties, because they genuinely, I think most people believe this is just old talk, and it's a coalition of convenience. And we know what Mrs. Bissessa's track record is with much more significant entities like the COP and the MSJ and NJAP and so on in the past. So her getting together with, we don't know yet who it is, but we know that several people yesterday, I heard MSJ and I think PEP, and there may be one other who said that they were not willing to get involved. So I'm not quite sure who she's talking about at this point in time.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that it's not. I suppose the interesting issue with all of this, Vasant, is the fact that there is a track record that you just referenced with regard to the COP, and the COP was a disappointment, I think, for a lot of people who the third-party advocates, who generally is this group of roughly 200,000 plus, who at times become homeless or begrudgingly vote for either party. And I think the whole COP experiment by the UNC was a major disappointment, if not catastrophe, because the COP became a subset of the UNC. It did not retain any identity for the voters that it had in its corner.
And that makes it all the more difficult for coalitions or third parties to gain any traction, simply because of the past disappointments, not just with the COP, of course, but with the NER experience. So I think it's going to be very difficult for the UNC to form any credible, to put together any credible formula that can excite the population. You see, Mrs. Bissessa and her team are of the opinion that people feel so disgruntled in the country today that they're basically going to hold their noses and vote for the UNC. And that's the reason why, over the last 8 years, the UNC has done nothing. They felt that just by sitting back, being lazy and incompetent, that eventually people are going to be so fed up of what exists that they will just basically hold their noses and vote for the UNC. And I refuse to. I refuse to be part of mediocrity, as I've said before, and I can't in any way support or encourage laziness or incompetence.
You just described a very dreary future. You said the UNC is lazy and incompetent, and unimpressive, and you said the PNM is tired and uninnovative.
Yeah. And it's the reason why I think if you go around the country and you speak to people who are not tied in any way to party because of race, you will find that generally people are fed up of politics and fed up of politicians. And people have retreated into their own little space, protecting what they've got, whether it's from, crime as a result of home invasions or going out late at night, or even going into you're at risk now even going into a grocery to shop because you don't know whether a bandit is going to be coming in behind you to rob the premises. People are really feeling the weight and heaviness of the cost of living. I want to just mention this issue of the property tax again, because I think it's important in terms of not just the effect it will have on people, but I think the psychological weight that it carries on people who already feel a level of burden. You see, a lot of people feel that with property tax, it is only going to, and let me just say, I have nothing against property tax. I just feel that two issues I have. One, I think the timing is wrong. And secondly, I think there's some issues with regard to how it's going to be levied and on whom it's going to be levied that I have a problem with. But let me tackle the first one. People feel that property tax will only affect homeowners or people who rent, right? So in other words, it affects, I have a home, I have to pay property tax. And of course, if I'm renting and my landlord has to pay property tax, obviously he's going to pass that, or it's assumed he's going to pass that on to me as a renter. But remember that gas stations have to pay property tax. And what are the owners of those gas stations are going to pass it on to in the cost of the gas. Pharmacies have to pay property tax. They're going to be passed on in the cost of pharmaceuticals and drugs. Bookstores have to pay property tax. Groceries have to pay property tax. So ultimately, taxi drivers, when in their home, have to pay property tax. So taxi drivers, for example, will be paying an additional amount for gas, and they'll be paying an additional amount for their car parts, and they'll be paying an additional amount in their homes. Who do you think is going to have to end up paying the additional or carrying the additional burden of that? It's going to be the consumer, who are already, in my opinion, weighed down by the cost of living, with the cost of food and so on. We know that. We've done very little with the agricultural sector, despite the Roadmap Committee recommendations. We're not growing any more food than we did pre-COVID. We've taken no cognizance of many of those recommendations that could easily have been implemented. We're still importing probably between 85 and 90% of what we consume. We seem to have learned no lessons from the supply chain issues in COVID, preparing ourselves in the eventuality of another disaster. So yeah, people are fed up. They just feel it's they and them alone. And look, you know what? We have no faith in politicians generally. A lot of young people, guys, are leaving Trinidad and Tobago because they see opportunities elsewhere. And I meet them on a regular basis. And in fact, many of them call me for advice on not if they should go, but which country they should go to. So we must stop comparing ourselves with the worst countries in the world, or the countries that are going through the worst crises in the world. I've just come back from Fiji. I'm doing a project in Fiji, and I was having lunch with the Deputy Prime Minister the day before I left, and he was talking about all the good things that was happening in Fiji. For example, last year they had 15.4% growth on the economy post-COVID. Their tourism sector is back up to 40% of 40% of their GDP, which is exactly what it was pre-COVID. And I have to tell you that they have nothing in terms of the the attractions that we have in Trinidad and Tobago. Most of their beaches are black. In fact, I stayed at a resort where there were 7 or 8 major hotel chains there, thousands of people staying there. Nobody was in the water because the beach was black, but they went for the experience that the Fijians have created. Do you know, I've been back from Fiji maybe a month now, and there is not a single week that has passed by since that the Ministry of Tourism in Fiji has not contacted me about my experiences in Fiji to get feedback. So, you know, they've maintained their sugarcane industry. They crushed out 1 million tons of cane last year. Agriculture represents about 11% of their GDP. So we're having lunch and we're talking about all these good things. And I said to the Deputy Prime Minister, so what's the murder rate in Fiji this year? And this is the middle of May, right? And he looked at me as though I was from Mars. And, you know, I thought he didn't understand the question. So I said, what's the homicide rate in Fiji this year? And he said, Vasant, the homicide rate in Fiji this year is 0. I said, is it 0? He said, yeah. As far as I'm aware, nobody has been murdered in Fiji this year. So we mustn't compare ourselves with the worst in the world. We must look at what exists. And I'll tell you, the people of Fiji, as some of you may know, are exactly the same people like us, right? Indians and Africans, people of Indian origin and African origin. So we have to understand culturally what we have become and where we're heading, what the future for our children and grandchildren are likely to be. And it's never too late to fix it. But you can only fix it with people of capacity and capability and competence. You're not going to fix it simply because I look like, you know, the leader of my party and you look like the leader of your party and I get a seat or I get a position in local government. It can't be that. It can't continue like that.
As we go back to the local government issue, Vasant, do you believe that this overture by Mrs. Kamla Persad-Bissessar is a large-ditch effort in terms of the hemorrhaging that has been happening in the party with people publicly disassociating themselves from the party? Do you believe that's what it is?
Well, I met a young lady yesterday, actually, in the Tunapuna area, who is a UNC activist, and she asked if she could meet with me, and I said, fine. I was up in the area, and I said, I'll meet with her. I'll meet with you. And she declared to me that she's going to be fighting a seat in the Tunapuna Piaka Regional Corporation for the PNM.
Oh,
so
that's one I didn't know about.
So it is not. The hemorrhaging is happening even though it may not be public. We know about the public ones because those are the people who we've heard about are public figures, and they've actually occupied positions of political importance with the United National Congress. But I think that there is a hemorrhaging at several levels within the party.
What does that speak to?
It speaks to poor leadership, and it speaks to the fact that many people feel that the UNC has not done anything or certainly not done enough to excite the population to get back into office. And people are fed up of the political wilderness. And so therefore they're going to an organization that they believe may not necessarily be the best, but it's certainly better than what they're involved in currently. And it's just this level of hopelessness that people have, that look, at least if I join the PNM, I may not be able to fulfill my potential 100%. I may not be able to help people to the extent I really want to, but I will certainly be able to help them better if I'm in government than if I'm in continuous opposition.
Mrs. Persad-Bissessar suggested, I think it's yesterday, that she may be nearing the end of her political career. She says, after victory, and I'm quoting from the newspaper here, in the upcoming 2 elections, local and general in 2025, one of the party members will rise to lead our great party, and I'll be able to rest her. Do you think this is a sign that Mrs. Persad-Bissessar realizes, that some have suggested these 2 elections are political do or die for her? And are you surprised by this statement?
I'm not surprised by the statement, but I can guarantee you that she has no such intentions. She's saying that essentially to give people hope that something better is going to happen, but that's never going to happen. The reality is that Mrs. Bissessar's political career ended in 2015. It's just that she's not recognized it, or she's refused to accept it. And she's now clutching at straws to give people the impression that put her back in and somebody else will. Let me ask you something. Who is going to rise from amongst the lot that she has there, or the lot that she intends to continue to surround herself with? And whoever rises are never going to, from that lot will never stand any. In fact, they'll stand a worse chance of getting into office than.
To me, the next in line from what I've seen, maybe Dr. Munidal. I don't know.
But I rest my case.
Oh gosh. So you don't consider Anita Haynes a bright spark, person?
Anita has been sidelined completely by the party, as have several people who will not retain their seats in the next general election. I think Anita has potential. I think she's. You see, a lot of the young people who have potential have been sidelined, and they've not been given the opportunity to really build themselves within the organizations and to get the kind of the experience that is necessary to lead an organization. You will see the people who get the exposure and the experience are the people who are totally incapable. But because of their undying loyalty to Mrs. Bissessa, you will always see them around her. You'll hardly ever see Anita Haynes around Mrs. Bissessa, but you'll see the Ratirams and the Padarats and the Khadija Amins and so on most present. So and if that's the future of the party, then the party has very little to offer the population.
Let's swim across the Tobago and the assembly and the turmoil of the last year, and most recently the auditors, Mr. Augustine, finally in some small measure referenced the audio tape last evening in Fairfield, and it said, well, after some time, because the audio tape is out, if I'm not mistaken, at least 3 weeks now, which to me paints a kind of damning picture of a sinister plot using state funds. Do you think this has been handled well by Mr. Augustine, and what are the implications for the Tobago People's Party, I think it's called, moving forward?
It's regrettable because I think more than anything else, what the PDP at the time, or certainly Farley and Watson at the time, did was create a sense of, a great sense of hope for Tobago, in that, this was a party of real Tobagonians looking to serve the interests of the people of Tobago. And it wasn't really a Trinidad party looking to involve itself in the business of the people of Tobago. So I think it must be extremely disappointing. And I think you guys know I have a home in Tobago, had for many years. I've not been to Tobago for a couple of months, so I don't know what the mood on the ground is, but it must be extremely disappointing. And of course, people who openly supported the PDP, the then PDP, and subsequently supported Farley and his team when they became independent. People like Dr. Vallis James have come out now openly and said that they have to step down. So although Farley and they may have been able to sidestep and maneuver the whole issue of becoming independents and moving away from the PDP, I think this latest issue, and worst of all, not having responded to it in a timely manner, has caused them a great deal of damage. And I think if, I suspect that they said nothing about it in the last month because they were hoping it would go away. But of course, the noise has become increasingly difficult for him to not say anything. And the voices in opposition to him saying nothing have become louder and more prominent. So he's been I'm not sure, I didn't hear what he said last night, but I think that they've been damaged. And whether they've been damaged irreparably, I can't say, but I suspect if an election were called tomorrow, the race would be a lot closer than it was in the last time around.
Do you think the PNM has done enough in Tobago, given the abject rejection, 14-1, of the then Tracy Davidson Celestin led?
Well, it would have been Tracy Davidson Celestin led the campaign, but Ansel Dennis would have been the chief secretary.
Yeah, well, the council at that time. because it was an abject rejection of the PNM for many different reasons. Has the PNM done enough to, in the context of what has happened in the last year, of what Tobago voted for and more than likely didn't get, from what people are seeing with the turmoil and the changes and the discord and now the audio tape? Is there a shift in political dynamic that can benefit the PNM or any other party that offers itself in Tobago for that matter?
I think there'll be a shift in the political dynamics, not because of what the PNM has done in the last year, but what Farley and they have done. They've damaged themselves. The PNM really doesn't have to do much, and I don't think they have done much in Tobago. And let's be honest, they're in opposition, so all they can do is to bring to the fore the issues. But I don't think they, in light of what has happened and the I guess the tumult that has taken place with the PDP, with first of all the impasse between Watson Duke and Farley, and then the splitting up and so on. I think that group has damaged themselves significantly without the PNM having to do anything. So, but I think the political dynamics have shifted away from what took place a year ago when they won, what is it, 14-1 or 13-1 or whatever it is.
14-1.
14-1. I think it's a different political environment today, and it's whether we like the PNM or not. To me, I've always said, and you guys always understand, have always heard me say this. It really doesn't matter to me whether it's PNM or UNC or CUP. At the end of the day, it's the institutions that are created and the service and quality of life that it provides to the people that matter, and the leadership and the governance issues, right? So it doesn't matter to me whether it's PNM or UNC or CUP or any other party. Once the people of the country are able to lead and live a better quality of life, with every successive government that takes over, the quality of life, you can measure and say, you know what, my quality of life today is significantly better than it was last month or last year. And I can see hope that things are going to get progressively better. And if things have been bad because there are things that have been outside of our control, like COVID was, at least I know my government has a plan in place, and it has the quality of people to continue to deliver those services, despite the fact that we've had some difficult circumstances to deal with. That's what people really want to know. I mean, ultimately, of course, you're going to get a group of people on either side who are going to support a political organization, regardless of what happens. And that's not just Trinidad and Tobago, that's in the United Kingdom, that's in the United States, and so on. But the general grouping of people, the people who actually cause elections to be won or lost, they think about the country and they think about themselves, they think about their families, they think about the futures. And that's what's important. So in situations like these, people always go back to what they know if what they have invested in doesn't work. And ultimately, they've invested a lot of hope in what was then the PDP and now the TPT or whatever it is. And their hopes have been dashed. And so therefore, the natural inclination is to go back to the default.
Yeah. The leader of the PDP, Vasant, Watson Duke, has proffered himself as the next mayor of Port of Spain, and is in fact, I guess, actively pursuing an election campaign in the city. What do you think of his chances?
I would like to say nil, but our problem is because we're dealing with two issues here, in my opinion. You have this level of populism that is sweeping the world. You have this issue of alternative facts and alternative truths that is sweeping the world and gaining levels of popularity. You have this situation where people, regardless of whether something is true or not, they will say it and hope that it sticks. And on the other side, you have this sense of hopelessness with people who have been marginalized for whatever reason. And you also have, in my opinion, a growing number of people who are uninformed because of their lack of education and because of their lack of economic and social standing. And you will find that those are the kinds of people traditionally who would be influenced by people like Mr. Duke. And I don't know if we in this country are doing enough to drag those people out of their current economic and social state and to show them that a better quality of life is possible for them. A more, I don't know, I don't want to use the word decent, but I think, we've moved away as a society from a level of decency where we see our leaders being very irresponsible in what they say and how they behave, and we believe we can do exactly the same thing and get away with it. And I don't think it's a good sign for where we're heading as a country, and some kind of intervention needs to be made before it becomes too late.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the third-party entities that we referenced before that Mrs. Salvi Sassi would have sent an open invitation to the Gary Griffith National Transformation Alliance, the PPs? I see Hope with, I see a party called Hope with, let me make sure I say it specifically, a party called Hope with Timothy Hammer-Smith, Denise Deming, Karen Nunes Teixeira, and the PDP also campaigning in Trinidad. What are the prospects for those? It takes a while for political parties to establish themselves and build momentum. What do you think their prospects are in local and potentially in general in 2025?
Well, I don't think that these parties would have much chance in, I don't even want to use the word hope because I don't want to align it to the party you just called, but I don't think that these parties would have significant opportunities to show any success in local government elections. I mean, as you rightly say, parties have to have some kind of a track record. They have to build a level of excitement with the population to be able to get their votes. And then I think if I'm reading this correctly, I think that most people are just really fed up, and I think a lot of people just will not bother to go out and vote. I think people are unexcited by the offerings that we have, and I think you will find that the majority of people who go out to vote are people who are attached in one way or another to either.
But let me put for an example.
Yes.
They may not win, but let's take St. Joseph, for example, where Minister Dayal Singh only won by about 800 or 900 votes. And the UNC had put up a relatively unknown candidate in Aloy Hunt, and the outcome was the outcome. Minister Dayal Singh won, but not by a large margin. And the prospect of the third party like Gary Griffiths or PP going in that constituency and battling also there, who do you think stands to benefit more from that, with them, if not victorious, as a potential spoiler?
You're talking about a general election now?
General election, yeah.
Gary's, I think people liked Gary Griffith as Commissioner of Police. Whether or not they see him as someone who can lead the country because of his narrow focus on the issue of national security and his very narrow focus on the Prime Minister and the Minister of National Security. Whether they perceive that he has the ability or the capability to deal with other issues, other significant issues in the country, like healthcare, education, infrastructure, and so on, I think that's doubtful. So you may get a what I would call a protest vote against the incumbent, but I think that primarily the people who would come out and vote for a third party in a constituency like Tunapuna or San Fernando West or St. Joseph are primarily the people who would hold their noses and vote against the PNM and vote for the UNC. So in a situation like that, I think it would be the UNC who would suffer if a third party were to fight in any of those constituencies.
Mm-hmm.
So he won't be able to take PNM votes. He more than likely will take anti-PNM votes from the UNC.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. Understood.
Yeah.
Interesting.
All right.
Interesting times ahead, Basan.
Because if you look at the voting patterns in those constituencies, you, as you rightly say, in many instances you're talking about 800 to 1,000 people, and either those people who actually make the difference, they would either stay away from the voting process, or they would normally go and vote against the PNM. And so therefore, if they see an alternative that may very well just be a protest vote for them, they probably just go and vote for that alternative.
Thank you so much for being with us. As per usual, we'd like to hear your perspective, and stay safe.
Always my pleasure.
All right. Thank you so much, Basan
Okay,
Barrow, for being with us this morning. All the best. Stay safe.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Take care. All right. It is exactly 8 o'clock on this, the 14th day of June, 2 months again for local government election. It's a love day. Avi, it's the 14th of June. It's a love day. I get a roll of the eye. I don't know what that means. Let's get into the news.
This is your news bulletin from Power 102 Digital.
Former People's Partnership Trade Minister Vasant Bharat says the UNC begging small parties to form a coalition with them is a humiliation. Speaking on Power 102 Digital's Power Breakfast show this morning, he said members of the party must feel humiliated given that they seem unlikely to unseat the PNM in an election. Mr. Bharat accused the UNC of being mediocre, lazy and incompetent and attempting to convince people to hold their nose as the PNM while not doing enough to prove that they can be a competent alternative. He claimed that the UNC cannot win an election only by attempting to convince people to get rid of the PNM and suggested that the UNC focus instead on placing themselves as a viable alternative. Meanwhile, the UNC political leader, Kamla Persad-Bissassa, has suggested that she's nearing the end of her political career. The 71-year-old opposition leader told supporters on Monday night that she's on the home stretch of her political career. However, she vowed to beat the governing People's National Movement in the August 14th local government election and then in the 2025 general election before taking her leave. Persad-Bissassa said that after victory at the two elections to be faced within the next 2 years, one of the other party members will rise to lead their great party and she will be able to rest. Chief Secretary Fali Augustin says he's confident that he will be cleared of any wrongdoing when he does address the controversial audio recording which was recently leaked on social media. In the recording, two persons are heard discussing paying persons full-time through the THA to spread propaganda online about the new Tobago People's Party. Speaking at THA town meeting at the Fairfield complex in Barcolet, Tobago last night, Augustin publicly addressed the issue for the first time, but did little to clear the air. Instead, he said he has nothing to be worried about and will break his silence on the matter in the coming days. Augustin added that he will not be rushed by the media to talk on the issue as there are security considerations to mull over. Persons should prepare for more possible rains today. This is according to the Met Office, which has warned that there is a medium chance of a few heavy showers and thunderstorms during the afternoon and overnight. Despite this, however, the riverine alert in South Oropouche has been downgraded to yellow level, but has been extended to southeastern areas of Trinidad as the Otwa River is currently at bank level. There is now a moderate risk of flooding in southeast Trinidad. Another hazard is also expected as there will be strong winds accompanying showers and isolated thunderstorms by mid-morning this afternoon and overnight tonight. As a result, the Met Office issued a high wind alert yellow level for Trinidad and Tobago and offshore areas from 8 a.m. today through 2 p.m. on Friday. And further afield, Ukraine's counteroffensive has resulted in further advances and some extremely fierce battles. A minister in Kiev says last night Russian President Vladimir Putin claimed the maneuver was failing and the opposing army was suffering major losses. Earlier, at least 3 people were killed in a relatively rare Russian attack on the Black Sea port of Odessa, and 3 others died after strikes in the eastern Donetsk region. Well, that was your update to 8 o'clock. Look out for news in full at 12 noon.
Up to date and credible. Power 102 Digital.
Uh-oh, guess what day it is? Guess what day it is? Huh? Anybody? Julie, hey, guess what day it is? Oh, come on, I know you can hear me. Mike. What day is it, Mike? Listen, guess what today is?
It's hump day.
Woo-hoo!
When I wake up in the morning, love, and the sunlight hurts my eyes, and something without warning, love, bears heavy on my mind. Then I look at you, and the world's all right with me. Just one look at you, and I know it's gonna be a lovely day.
Oh, that's what it's going to be, a lovely day. It certainly is on this World Blood Donor Day, the gift of life. Thank you so much, Avril, for our news brief. You can join her again come at noon with Sir Charles, the fearless one, the golden child. Oh yeah, on this Reggae-matic Wednesdays. That's what he's going to do.
And the world
thank you, Evie.
all right with me.
It is 29 degrees in both islands. It's going to be a warm one already. It's going to be a warm one. Traffic-wise, yeah, let me just tell you. When you think you're going to get traffic, you will get traffic, all right? You will. San Fernando, you got some traffic, but in the usual spots. Riverland Road. There is an accident, but by just after Freeport, it is northbound on the Solomon Puchoy Highway. All right, so take note of that. Leaving Vancouver to Chase Village on the southern main road. Yeah, you got some traffic. It's heavy everywhere. All right, it really is heavy everywhere. Randy, Maloney to Port of Spain, Maraval. Horrendous.
And the world's all right with me.
Terrible. All right.
I just want to look at
good morning to Sharpone. Good morning to Miss Ingrid. Thank you so much for giving us a message on message board. Just a reminder of our morning poll. Do you think the state's response to the flooding in South Trinidad has been adequate? That's our poll. Vote on it on our website at power102fm.com or on our mobile app, which you should have by now. Just look for Power 102 FM Trinidad. All right. Evie told me of a song to play, so I'll play that next. It's a nice segue into my Kiss Power Choice.
We return to the test kitchen of the Kiss Factory, where our delightfully delicious chocolate creations inventor has started experimenting again. He's taken deliciously colorful confetti and magically infused it with fun to transform it into funfetti and pump that rainbowy magic into a delicious vanilla muffin. The finishing touch, filling it with a heart of classic Kiss cream.
It's fundamentally, fanatically, fantabulously fantastic!
Kiss Funfetti vanilla cream-filled muffins with rainbow sprinkles. Choose fun today.
Baby, don't understand why we can't just hold on to each other's hands. This time might be the last I fear, unless I make it all too clear. I need you so.